Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dennis Prager Show. There is a report out, and as reported, I have here from the Daily Telegraph in Britain. Britain's NHS is the world's best healthcare system, says report. British healthcare provision praised by Washington-based Commonwealth Fund, while U.S. is described as the worst in the world. This is a classic example of the propaganda that masquerades as news. I repeat, the propaganda that masquerades as news, the utterly dishonest reporting that permeates the media in the Western world. Now listen. Do you believe that the U.S. is described as the worst in the world, and so who said so? And Britain is the best? Do you know how many reports I bring to you on a regular basis of how horrific the NHS is, the National Health Service, is so often? So listen to the way the story begins. The National Health Service has been praised as the world's best healthcare system by an international panel of experts who said it was far superior to those found in countries which spend far more on health. The study, entitled Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, also described U.S. healthcare provision as the worst globally. Wow. Despite investing the most money in health, the U.S. refuses care to many patients without health insurance. It's not true. That's a lie. And is also the worst at saving the lives of people who fall ill. Really? So if any of you got cancer, God forbid, would you prefer to be in Britain or the United States? So who is this panel of experts? It's the Commonwealth Fund. Now listen to how the Commonwealth Fund is identified in this Daily Telegraph article. The Commonwealth Fund, a Washington-based foundation, produced the report. The fund is respected around the world for its analysis of the performance of different countries' health system. It examined 11 countries, etc., etc. It doesn't tell you that the Commonwealth Fund is simply a left-wing organization that was a major advocate of Obamacare. You never find this out. I described the Commonwealth Fund, actually, in my book, my last book, which is a primer on leftism, Americanism, and Islamism. And I beg you to read it primarily for the sake of our society and its values. Not primarily because I will receive royalties if you read it. And I'd rather you read it and not buy it, but just read it than not read it. Still, the Best Hope is the name. I actually talk about the Commonwealth Fund in it. It is a liberal think tank headed by single-payer advocate. A single-payer advocate, single-payer. You understand? It wants socialized medicine. They are as objective as you take any of the most right-wing organizations. They are equally objective. And by the way, I think right-wing organizations might well be more objective, but nobody identifies it. It's just a Washington-based foundation. That's all that says. It doesn't. The Daily Telegraph piece doesn't tell you it's an advocate for socialized health care. It's headed. It was at least headed at the time by Karen Davis when I wrote this book. Obamacare activist and former Jimmy Carter official, who says, and this is in my book. This is awesome. She says America has the worst health care. And that's the group that produced this report. 1 out of 100,000 people will know that when they read this. I don't expect you to know it. I didn't know it until I realized, wait, I remember that name. It's a phony organization. It's phony. The report is phony. We drown in dishonesty. We're drowning in it. 1-8-PRAGER-776. You are listening to the Dennis Prager Show. Hello, everybody. You are listening to the Dennis Prager Show. You have to understand how important this is. You get the media. The media report a study. Do not tell you that the study is put out by a left-wing organization, and so what you have is the public is misled into believing that they have heard the truth. In this case, what they have reported is so absurd that you would think that the average American would say, you have to be kidding, but it's not. But people, if you went to college, you were lulled into studies show. Studies show ends one's ability to think, one's desire to think. British health care is the best in the world and the American is the worst? You believe that? Well, it's reported because the Commonwealth Fund, a Washington-based foundation, which has experts from around the world, health experts from around the world, on its in its fund, on its committee studying this. Well, that's pretty serious. Then you find out it's simply a left-wing organization that wants socialized health care in the United States. By the way, this is another good example because whenever the Heritage Foundation or the American Enterprise Institute or the Hoover Institution is mentioned, it's always mentioned that they're conservative. When I am quoted in the press, conservative talk show host Dennis Prager, do you get liberal talk show host ever? Is it mentioned? We're identified because we are, for the left, we're outliers. Left is normal. Left is normative. Right is exceptional, and therefore must be labeled as such. Somewhat like a three-legged horse. The four-legged horse doesn't need to be said as four-legged. Left wing doesn't need to be stated as left wing. That's the norm. And now, who heads the organization now? I spoke to you about this Karen Davis, who headed it before. Now it is headed by David Blumenthal, who is an Obama advisor. His brother is the left-wing Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal, the man who made up stuff about his military service. Not amazing? They don't tell you that? How about this? What if the Telegraph in Britain reported a former Obama advisor and his liberal socialized medicine advocating think tank say America has the worst health care in the world? Would you have a different view? That's why they don't mention it. So a group that wants socialized medicine says American medicine stinks, and it's reported as group says American medicine is the worst. Really? So if you had cancer or any other disease, you'd rather be treated in Britain? Really? That's fascinating. And so your that proverbial brother-in-law that you have who's on the left is going to say, yeah, you see, it's reported that we have the worst health care. Now, don't look at me. Hey, I'm not saying that. This this fund says that. I read it in the papers. That's the way it works. It's every time. This is the way truth is reported. This is the way falsehood is reported, I should say, as truth. This one's particularly disturbing. And had I not written about it in my book, I would not have known it. I don't know, Commonwealth Fund, what do I know? Oh, it's a group of experts. Oh, well, all right. Experts. Yes, experts. That's correct. Ruben in Los Angeles, California. Dennis Prager, hi.
Hi, Dennis. Good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Just a quick personal story about my father-in-law, who's living his whole life in Montreal, Canada, failing. His kidneys were failing, needed a kidney transplant. or he was going to be on dialysis for as long as that would continue. And the only hope he had to come to the States, come to New York Hospital. He managed to get on a list. Took a while. When it was ready, he came to New York. They did the transplant and all the follow-up work. He lives out now back in Montreal, but he's living there a long, hopefully healthy life due to the American health system as opposed to the Canadian, which pretty much copies the British health care. I told, Canada's not a place for something serious like this. It's a beautiful place to visit. If you need to be sick in the States.
That's right. That's exactly right. But you have to understand, too, thank you, Ruben, you have to understand that this is a paradigm of the left-wing view of the United States, not just its health care. The U.S. is worse. They think badly of this country. I have to periodically remind people of this. The left basically thinks America stinks. Its health care stinks. Its inequality stinks. It's a racist country. It's bigoted. It's intolerant. It's sexist. It's homophobic. It's xenophobic. White privilege is what is taught if you are, because there's so much bigotry against non-whites in this country. In the history of the world, I really do believe what I am about to say. In all of world history, there has not been an example of ingratitude that rivals leftism. The American leftist is the most ungrateful creature that the human race has ever produced. 1-8 Prager 776. You are listening to the Dennis Prager Show. Hi, everybody. I'm Dennis Prager. The masquerade of objective truth that is simply left-wing desires and aims is so pervasive, and this is a great new example, as I've been telling you about. Reports say that American healthcare is the worst and British is the best. The group that does it is a left-wing group that wants one payer system in the United States, wants socialized medicine. So they say whatever they need to say to further their cause. There's as much truth in their report as there is from a Soviet report on how much production the Soviet Union engaged in. We're doing better than America. This is from the same newspaper that gave this report. This is from the Telegraph in London, from let's see, 19 days ago. Neurosurgeon quits NHS after being told not to wear a watch. Yeah. A leading neurosurgeon has admitted that he is quitting the NHS, that's the National Health Service, because he can no longer bear the bureaucracy and health and safety regulations which ban him from wearing a wristwatch. Despite being one of Britain's most eminent surgeons, Henry Marsh will quit next March to work pro bono in Ukraine, saying the health service had become shambles. This was the final straw, receiving a 22-page dress code which banned ties, long sleeves, and watches. Get that? We were threatened with disciplinary action for wearing a wristwatch and not having our sleeves rolled up, even though there is no evidence that makes any difference. He claimed the government cuts were threatening surgery because of the lack of beds. Get that, folks? This is the British system named the best in the world by this phony organization, the Commonwealth Fund, headed by an Obama aide, Richard Blumenthal's brother, David. Because of the lack of beds, you are often canceling operations. I like doing major surgery in the morning, but operations are getting later because of the shambles. Recently, I started an operation at 4 p.m. very reluctantly, and I made a hash of it because I was starting at the wrong time of day. But you can't wear a wristwatch. That's a health hazard. But just remember, that's the view of America. It's the worst. Ingratitude has a name. It's called progressivism.